Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something that I think so many of us feel deep down, what it's like to be a parent in a world that is just completely flooded with information. I mean, we've got more books, more experts, more advice than any generation in history. But here's the real question. Is it actually helping? So let's get into it.
And this quote, wow, it really gets to the heart of everything we're talking about today. It just perfectly nails the strange situation modern parents find themselves in. We've collected all this knowledge, all this science, but what it often leads to is what the source material calls sophisticated confusion. We're armed with facts, but we feel more lost than ever.
And this is the question that just hits home, right? It doesn't seem to make sense. We have this incredible access to information, yet families are reporting being more stressed out, more disconnected. This is what we're calling the parenting paradox. It seems like the more we know, the more overwhelmed we feel. Weird, right?
So it all boils down to this. The problem isn't that we need to read another parenting book or find some new magic strategy. The real gap, the missing piece, is in our ability to apply all that information with wisdom, to actually turn that external advice into a real, living, breathing connection with our own kids. Okay, so let's break this down, because the difference is huge. On one hand, you have knowledge. That's the what, the theories, the techniques you read about. It's all external stuff. But wisdom, that's completely different. That's internal. It's knowing the when, how, and maybe even if to use that knowledge. It's about being in tune with your kid in your family. It's about integrating your experience, not just collecting more information. So what actually happens when we lean too hard on just the knowledge part? Well, we can fall into some really specific, really common traps. The source material points out 4 key patterns that basically stop us from ever developing that essential family wisdom.
All right, here they are. We've got the perfect parent myth, the expert dependency, the strategy addiction, and the big one, the comparison trap. Now, as we walk through these, just, see if any of them ring a bell. So first up is the perfect parent myth. This is that intense pressure to do every single best practice perfectly. And the irony is trying so hard to be the perfect parent can actually make us less present, less authentic, and totally disconnected from what our child actually needs from us in that moment.
And then you've got expert dependency. This is when we're constantly looking for the answer everywhere except inside ourselves. This endless hunt for someone else to tell us what to do slowly chips away at our own parental intuition. That gut feeling, that inner compass that's so critical for wisdom.
And the strategy addiction. You know this one. It's always chasing the next shiny technique, the next 3-step plan that promises to solve everything. But it just keeps us on this hamster wheel, always focused on the next tactic instead of doing the real work, building a strong, fundamental relationship.
And finally, the comparison trap, which, let's be honest, has been cranked up to 1,000 by social media. When we're measuring our family's messy, beautiful reality against someone else's perfectly curated highlight reel, we're not just making ourselves miserable, we're completely blind to the unique strengths and magic of our own little world. All right, so that's the diagnosis. Kind of heavy, right? But the good news is there's a solution. And this is where we get to pivot from just talking about the traps to talking about the path forward. It's not about learning more stuff. It's about building a whole new capacity, family wisdom.
And this is the roadmap. The source material gives us 5 core practices to start turning all that knowledge into real wisdom. It starts with reflective observation, which is basically learning to pause. Then, it's about seeing your family as a learning laboratory, where it's okay to experiment and mess up. From there, you build emotional literacy, the ability to name and understand feelings. And you do it all with a beginner's mind, staying curious. And finally, you learn to balance structure with flexibility.
That first step, reflective observation, is an absolute game changer. It's just about creating a tiny bit of space between your kid's behavior and your reaction. And in that little pause, we can shift from asking, "How do I fix this?" to asking something much more powerful. I wonder, what's going on inside my child right now?
Oh, I just love this idea of the family as a learning laboratory. This mindset changes everything. Suddenly, a mistake isn't this big, shameful failure. Nope, it's just data. It's an opportunity to learn something new, to tweak our approach, to repair the connection, and to actually grow stronger because of it.
Okay, so what's the payoff for all this hard work? What do families really get when they make this shift from chasing knowledge to cultivating wisdom? Well, it's something the source calls emotional capital, which is kind of like this deep relational wealth, or wealth, if you will.
Think of it like this. Emotional capital is that deep well of trust, connection, and resilience that you build up over time. It's the currency that really gets you through the hard stuff, and it makes the good times feel even richer. It's not about what's in your bank account, but about the true wealth of your relationships.
So what's this capital made of? Well, it starts with emotional attunement, really being able to connect with what's going on under the surface. Then there's flexible responsiveness, which is the art of knowing when to be firm and when to be soft. And crucially, repair skills. Because we're all human, ruptures are going to happen, and knowing how to circle back and fix them is everything. And it's all held together by a long-term perspective, seeing beyond today's meltdown to the adult you're helping to shape.
But here's where it gets really, really big. The most powerful part of this is that the work doesn't just stay inside the four walls of your house. Oh no. The impact of cultivating this kind of family wisdom, it ripples out. Wise families become the foundation for something so much bigger.
They create emotionally intelligent citizens. Kids who grow up this way, they learn how to navigate tricky emotions, how to handle conflict with grace, and how to build real, meaningful relationships. Because they've seen it, they've lived it every single day. And what do those emotionally intelligent citizens do? They go out into the world and they build healing communities. By focusing on relational health at the very root, in the family, we start to heal our society from the inside out.
And this quote just ties it all together perfectly, doesn't it? The goal completely shifts. It's not just about raising a successful kid who gets good grades and a good job. It's about raising a human being who makes every community they touch a little bit healthier, a little bit kinder. Now that is a legacy.
So, I guess the final question to leave you with is this. In an age that is so obsessed with knowledge, with achievement, with what you can measure, what if we shifted our focus? What if our greatest legacy, the true measure of our success as parents, isn't what our children know, but how deeply they can connect?